Hi there again. Today I'll be discussing another topic I feel is very imperative to retaining the principles in a Republican form of government. And I'm not referring to political parties, Republican, Democrat, but rather I'm referring to republic versus a democracy, which is what many of us feel we are in, unfortunately. And it's just not true. In fact, it's quite the opposite. We are in a republic. Why did our founding fathers feel a necessity to establish a constitutional republic? I say constitutional republic because the very principles of this system of government are outlined, clearly enumerated in the Constitution. In fact, Article 4, Section 4, Clause 1 of the Constitution states, "The United States shall guarantee to every state in this union a republican form of government." So we have a republic. Now, every president since Woodrow Wilson, for those of you who are unaware, he was the president who actually enacted the Federal Reserve Act into law after Congress, by a majority, voted to send it to his desk, and then several years later he regretted that decision for obvious reasons. But back to the purpose of this video. We are in a republic. Now, a republic is based on the idea that the majority, no matter how determined they are and how much their opinion is the same, an overall consensus, it doesn't matter. It's not based on a majority vote. In a republic, it is based on you and I, the individual or the minority. This is rule of law in a republic. Rule of law, not rule by the majority. You see, in a democracy, if we are in a true democracy, where the people vote on every issue, let's take, since this is a firearms-related channel predominantly, let's take the gun control bills that were rammed down our throats and we were accosted with following the horrific shooting at Newtown, Connecticut. If we were a democracy, rather than Congress, the House, and then the Senate voting before it's placed on Mr. Obama's desk, we would have simply gone to the polls and voted, yay or nay. Assault weapons ban, yay or nay. Magazine ban, yay or nay. Universal background checks. But instead, we elect representatives who represent the common man, or are supposed to represent. Now, this is the foundation of our government. I'm not stating that at this very moment in time, we have this. We can always work back to it, though. But we have to understand we are not supposed to be a democracy. We are not supposed to be a communist form of government, as we are right now. We are in a dictatorship. We have a president who, without the consent of Congress, enacts various laws with the stroke of a pen. So he could enact martial law overnight without us even knowing it. He doesn't have to define national emergency in order to declare martial law. He just has to state there is an emergency. It doesn't have to. It doesn't have to be justified. And this is where I draw my opinion that this is more of a dictatorship than a republic. But the key to the remedy to this massive problem we have on our hands is the knowledge of the common man. the knowledge of this understanding that we are, in fact, operating under a dictatorship. We need to have the knowledge necessary to return back to our founding father principles enshrined in the Constitution. So that is part of my purpose here. Rather than me sharing this, going down in the freezer at work and screaming at the top of my lungs and complaining to myself, I'm trying to make this communally widespread and available. I'm trying to declassify this, because it just doesn't appear to be apparent to many people. We are supposed to be in a constitutional republic based on rule of law, the idea that I have rights, I have responsibilities associated with those rights. Those responsibilities include exercising my right properly and not overextending the boundaries, those boundaries being your equal rights. So I have a right to keep and bear arms. I also immediately carry the responsibility of ensuring nobody is injured or killed with my firearm, because doing so would violate their right to life. Everybody has a right to life. If you kill Joe Blow hasn't had his right to life taken away. His right to life has merely been violated. So, and again, it resorts back to my original video, rights versus privileges. Nobody seems to grasp this concept. You need to understand rights versus privileges. And when you understand rights versus privileges, you understand why communism, socialism would never work. Because the idea of socialism, communism is, this is ours. Ours. What's a 2-year-old's favorite word? Mine. Mine. That's mine. They understand it's very important to own property. They want to gather as much as they can. And it's theirs, and they're willing to fight for it. But somehow, as we mature into adulthood, we lose sight of that concept. We say, well, it was ours, but we're willing to share it with the government. That's simply unacceptable to me. I will not allow that to happen and let them get away with it when it happens. You need to understand this stuff. It's ridiculous that this stuff is happening, but it's happening due to our lack of knowledge to it. So in closing, republic is where you have rights protected by law, and those rights are not subject. Those rights are not subject to the vote of a majority. So if 51% wish to take away the 49%'s property rights or anything else that belongs to them, it is the government's job to step in and say, no, they have a right to that property, and it is not subject to a majority vote. So please understand that. And that's all I've got to say about that. I think I've made my position on this issue very clear. Please stay tuned for more. Thank you very much. Have a nice night.